It's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time for Power Bombed in the Pit. We're two tag team partners who love loud music, comedy, art, but most of all, we love the people who do all those things and love pro wrestling. Well, let's fucking start this off, man. So today we have Ryan Love, who you might know from his Instagram, TikTok pages, and his appearance on the Young Turks. He's a comedian, historian, a fellow wrestling and punk rock fan, and we want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come nerd the fuck out with us.
Thank you, Ryan.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Well, cool. So first off, gonna start. How did you first get into pro wrestling?
That's easy. So when I was 4 years old, one of my earliest memories was the Mega Powers with Macho Man and Hulk Hogan, right? And they were friends throughout that storyline, right?
Yeah.
And they'd once been bitter enemies, and they had teamed up, and Hogan just started hitting on Macho Man's wife. Right there on the TV. It's pretty clear if you watch it these days.
Oh, yeah.
And Hogan caused some problems. No, and
Hogan starting problems. Imagine that.
Yeah. So, the thing is, what my brother quotes me where Macho Man turned on Hogan and said, "What are you doing, Macho Man? Don't hurt him. He's your friend." So I was really into pro wrestling when I was little. When I had lived in Arkansas briefly as a kid, and I remember every Saturday morning we would wake up and watch WWE or WWF at the time on Saturday mornings, and that was like our whole world, right? Was wrestling, and that was the greatest thing. That was something I did with my brother and his friends, and I was really into it until I hit adolescence, and right before I hit adolescence, and then I was over it, and that's when I started to. Year or two later, I started to get into punk rock.
Awesome.
That was going to be my follow up question. That's so awesome. We followed similar paths. I think maybe I'm a little bit older than you, but yeah, that's rad. So, who was the first punk rock band that you were just like?
It's so cliche, but my brother. Okay, so my brother showed me a documentary. This is how I got into punk rock. Well, first he brought home a cassette tape, and on one side of the cassette tape it had Minor Threat on it, and on the other side it had Suicidal Tendencies. I didn't believe these were like bands that had recorded albums. I thought that this was like his friends down the road kind of a thing.
Oh shit! Okay.
And because it's like the first Suicidal album and Minor Threat, and I hadn't had like any exposure to hardcore or anything like that. And the music that I liked when I was a little kid was like I liked the Beach Boys, right? And I liked Elvis, I liked Buddy Holly, I liked all that stuff. And so at first I didn't like hardcore at all. And my brother got a Ramones CD, and about the same time, we watched a documentary on PBS about punk rock. And I remember looking at the Ramones and just like, it had the Sex Pistols and some other like smaller, it had some smaller groups in it too, but it was the Ramones that really, they looked so odd, right? They were like cartoon characters, and they didn't give a fuck. Like the rest of the punk bands like seemed to have a uniform at a certain point, but the Ramones were the fucking Ramones, and that's the way it was going to be. And I remember hearing them cover the Beach Boys, "Do You Want to Dance?"
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like a little harder, it's a little faster, but it's what I liked. And I liked Phil Spector music and stuff like that. And I didn't know it was Phil Spector, but like I knew I liked the Righteous Brothers. I knew I liked the Ronettes. I knew who these groups were. And the Ramones were an extension of that. And when I got into hardcore, it was like, 1-2 minute songs. And if you listen to oldies radio, it's the same thing, right? It's 2 minute songs, 3 minute songs. It's short songs with no frills. And So I liked the idea of having, it was really neat to have music that just you and your friends listened to. There was just a
Mhm.
small group of us, and it felt part of it felt exclusive, and it was almost like you were trying to find bands where you could hear the melody under all of the distortion and the bad recordings and everything, and and so like some of them were lucky enough to get like semi decent recordings, but like like the Adolescents are an example of that, right? Where
Mhm.
it's hard and fast, but you can hear the melody, like the backing vocals are beautiful. It's like it
Dude,
was every
Amoeba, like,
yeah,
like,
it's it's if it's not inspired by the Beach Boys, it's informed by it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I liked the Descendants. Early on, I liked all the poppy groups, but like the old poppy groups, right? Like I liked the Buzzcocks, and then I got into like when I got into hardcore, like some of those first bands I liked was like I liked Warzone from
Mhm.
New York, right?
Mhm.
I liked Cause for Alarm, and then California had a lot of fun stuff that was like the Circle Jerks first record was
Yeah.
uh, I mean, that was one of my favorite. It still is, right? I think it's like 16 minutes long or something like that. And the songs are so good on there. And I remember anytime I would make somebody a mixtape and I had like 45 seconds at the end of the tape, I'd throw a fucking Circle Jerk song on there.
Hell
fuck
yeah.
But
yeah, dude.
That's like
yeah,
sweet spot.
Oh man.
yeah,
So yeah, we've definitely been on the same path when it came to pro wrestling and punk rock. So that's awesome. So what exactly led you to start like your TikTok and Instagram pages?
sure. So during the pandemic, I was cooped up with my wife, and I was terrified she was going to get COVID, right? And she was working from home, and I wasn't, and I was going out and working. I'd come back at the end of the day, and we weren't doing anything. We weren't going anywhere. Nothing was on television,
Mhm.
and 'cause she's an asthmatic. She has like health problems, so
Yeah.
I was really concerned about that. And we got into pro wrestling like really heavily. I hadn't watched it since I was about 10 years old or whatever. I think Doink the Clown kind of threw me off. Like once Doink,
That whole
what?
area of WWE was garbage.
Yeah, once Doink showed up, I was fucking out. Right.
Mhm.
So sorry.
No, you're
So
good.
wrestling was on, and I recognized it was bad. Like the wrestling in 2020 is, even though it was during the pandemic, so there weren't audiences there, it
Mhm.
was still on 7 nights a week. And I knew that we were just in a period where wrestling was bad as a whole.
Yeah.
And I didn't care, or we didn't care. It was just something to watch. Like we could
Mhm.
get into the storylines as bad as they were, and
Yeah.
we were watching everything. We were watching WWE. We started watching AEW actually because I was I saw Darby Allen like right
Mhm.
after right before the pandemic started, I guess, and he was just so skinny, and he didn't look like any kind of wrestler that I had seen when I was a kid. And
Yeah.
at first, I was like, "What the fuck is this? They got this twink fucking wrestling, and what the fuck is going on?" Right? like like the Macho Man would fucking break this guy, right? This looks like a fucking
Break his
comedy
back and
angle.
make him humble.
Yeah, he'd make him fucking humble real quick, break his back in a couple of ways, right?
Yes.
So I'm I'm I was kind of intrigued by it, and they're wrestling, and and then eventually the pandemic happens, and so I go back and I want to watch that AEW, right? Because I remembered it was kind of bad, but that was kind of some of the appeal of it. And so
Yeah.
I got really heavily into AEW, even though I knew it was really bad. And I started listening to Jim Cornette, and I absolutely like fell in love with Jim Cornette, right? The way that he would
Awesome.
he had a big audience, and they didn't a lot of them didn't like his wrestling takes and stuff like that, but he didn't give a fuck. He wasn't playing to an
Yeah.
algorithm or anything else. He was just going to fucking tell it how it was. And he was so descriptive and such a good storyteller, and he kept such like copious notes. It was just it's such a great podcast, and it helped, like, like the history of wrestling and things like that. I started watching WWE. I started watching Impact Wrestling. I started watching, like, NWA had 4 shows that year. I watched them all. Right.
Hey, Billy Corgan.
Yeah, me too. I'm not a Smashing Pumpkins fan, and Uncle Fester over there. But, he looks like Uncle Fester with fucking Velcro shoes on. But uh, but anyway, so I start watching that, and just anything we could. We're watching wrestling 6-7 nights a week, right? I'm collecting the fucking toys, and I wanted to make friends online to talk about wrestling with. So I started a TikTok account, and I was really nervous, like to just talk into a camera, like, and to release it. It was a difficult thing for me to do, and so I started making videos, and it was like a rough time in my life, and I just was like, I felt like there was just nothing to lose, and I just started making these videos, and they weren't for views or to get big or anything like that. I had this idea in my head: if I get 200 followers on TikTok talking about wrestling, then I'll have a couple of friends to talk about wrestling with, because there's nobody to talk to about wrestling with, and we're in the pandemic. And I made my account, and I had 200 followers, at like more than that, after my first video. And and it was about Chris Jericho, and I used pictures of Vince Neil, and I just told the true story of Chris Jericho, about how he gave all this $35,000 to the Trump campaign, how he was at Sturgis performing with the band Fozzy, like right in the middle of COVID, and I was just ripping on him, and I was also kind of like satirizing like call out pages and shit like that, because of how goofy they are, and they don't give a fuck if they did things wrong and everything else. And it's just about like, moving the needle and getting views. And I thought that shit was goofy, and people didn't really realize it, but I was taking aim at that shit too, right? Like, cause I think they like, a lot of these people don't have a talent is what it is. So they're like, if we just fucking create conflict all the time, then, we're going to get views. And it's like, the idea is like, if you, but anyway, so I started making these videos, and people were like, can you do that again on my first video? Right. And I said, yeah, I think I could do that again. And so I made a brief video, and it blew up, and I had 4,000 followers for my second video. And then by the end of about 3-4 months, I had 23,000 followers. Dave Bautista, the wrestler who was in Guardians of the Galaxy, was tweeting my shit. There was people that were like, I was doing like kind of like left leaning content, but it wasn't serious. It was always jokey and absolutely absurd. And I started having people that hated Lauren Boebert, but were in the Trump White House before. Like, they were tweeting my shit, right? Because I'm talking shit about because I'm talking shit about Lauren Boebert, and because so her mom used to accuse a pro wrestler named Stan Lane of being Lauren's father. And I used to.
Oh, that's right. No. I do remember that. You were telling me about that a little while ago.
I used to make videos about that. The majority of that information came from me, and I was just making videos about it fucking relentlessly, and it was because it was so funny, and other people would just move on and fucking do something else, and I would do other things, but I always go back to fucking Lauren Boebert and fucking Chris Jericho, right? Like the way I do with the Misfits now, or something like that. And it was like the idea of beating a dead horse. It becomes unfunny, but if you do it long enough, it becomes funny again. Exactly. Because what the fuck is wrong with this guy, right? It got so bad, I wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. I'm getting like millions of views on these videos, and then Lauren Boebert and Stan Lane go get a fucking DNA test, and it makes the fucking news that they got a DNA test, and everybody's coming to me going, "You fucking moved the needle on this one, right?" And there was other shit too, like, I made a video. I'm drinking a fucking michelada on fucking Thanksgiving night, right after Trump Jr. Fucking tweeted some shit about how Stone Cold is a fucking Trump supporter, and so I took these old quotes and shit, and I was just and I made my video, and I'm holding it. You can't see the beer, but I got a beer on my lap. I'm half drunk. I got my foot on the toilet. The video gets like 2.8 million views, and fucking Trump Jr. is like vaguely responding to it on fucking Instagram, right? And and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what kind of like what? And I wanted friends to talk about wrestling with, and I never had a plan, like a social media plan or a strategy. But people were always telling me, you could do this, like you could do this full time, and I didn't believe them, and I didn't value it. I just thought, I should just work,
Right.
like a fucking 42-year-old man with, or however how old I was, with social media dreams sounded fucking goofy to me. And so I ended up like it became more trouble than it was worth, because I wasn't trying to make money. I wasn't doing anything. And so if you're getting like, as soon as it becomes a problem and you're not getting anything from it, you'll just stop. And so that's what happened. And a year and a half went by. I just didn't do anything. And then all of a sudden I got back on there, and my name was still available, which was the real Kirk Cameron at the time. And that's what everybody knew me as the real Kirk Cameron. And so I fucking took it again, and I started making pro wrestling videos again, and with no real plan, the same thing. And then it was, and then when I didn't need to do it anymore, I didn't feel like I needed to be creative in that way, and it became more trouble than it was worth. Bye. And I did that a couple of times, and then this last winter, I realized that I was through a series of events. I realized I was talented, and I could do this because I could just keep getting back on and start from zero, and I could even make different kinds of content too. And I'm not talented with a camera or anything like that. I don't know how to do editing. My hand is fucking shaking in my videos. I'm like moving around like this. But I can do like heartwarming stories. I'm a storyteller. I can do comedy. I can do like heartbreaking shit, and it's all real. It's all like true to who I am. And a big difference from the content that I make now and my early content was that I never talked about myself. I always wanted to be, and I wore sunglasses a lot of the time too, right? And because I just wanted to be like there in the, like, I wanted people to say, this guy is so fucking weird, like, and, yeah, like I want to learn something about him. And I never gave people fucking anything, It's like they just thought I was like a basement dweller, and I liked that. And they're like, go back to your fucking basement. And so I really just didn't have. I just didn't want people to know who I was. And a big part of that is because I moved to Arkansas in 2013, and I had learned to stop talking about myself. So like, like you're in polite company or whatever, you can't be like, oh, I was homeless, right? Like I remember when me and my buddy Josh were fucking spanging and and drinking with fucking winos and smoking crack behind the dumpster by the Chinese food place in Norwalk. You can't tell those stories. I remember when we stole my friend's grandma's car, because he sold us bad dope. Like you can't fucking talk about that. And so I don't know why I was so cautious to talk about myself, but I was. And this last winter, I had the idea that I would start talking about my past, and it was fucking terrifying. So like that first video I made about, I got back on and I got on Instagram and TikTok, and I had never been on Instagram before. I had been on TikTok with 23,000 followers, and again with like 35,000 followers. I think the last time, and I blew up on Instagram, and the videos got big on TikTok too. They had like 500,000 and stuff. And I was talking about my dead friend, right? Like, and nobody gave a fuck about him when he was alive. And and all of a sudden people cared, and so I decided I was going to keep going with it, and I was going to keep talking about him. And we have a friend group who they know the way that he lived, and the way that how bad things were for him when we were kids. We used to say, Josh doesn't have a chance. He's gonna die when he's young. We used to say this when we were like in fucking junior high, like behind his back and shit. And it wasn't like he was out of control or crazy. It was just the environment that he was in. It was it. And we heard adults saying that shit too, and it was true. Like, so I connected with a lot of people that were in the punk scene, that were people that shouldn't, like, that pretend like they don't have fucking feelings and shit like that, right? And I saw how powerful that is. Like, we're around people that want to pretend to be like fucking cool, and yeah, and like they don't want to talk about that shit. And I was like, I don't care. I'm just gonna be myself in front of the camera, and that's it. And yeah, and so I was doing that, and people were receptive to it. And I do have a plan this time. I got back on with a strategy and a plan, and I have collaborators, and this time, which is different than last time. And it's really a rewarding experience this time around, because it feels like an artistic endeavor where I'm you know uh, I'm not excluded from, like me as a person. I'm not excluded from the creative endeavor, right? It's not just me projecting out into the world about fucking politics and wrestling, but it's about me too. And that is a really rewarding thing, and seeing like the reception that I'm getting, and I know it's silly, um, because I don't want to be paid in clout, but uh, the bands that I listened to when I was growing up, like, they all follow me, and that's a humble, yeah, that's a humbling thing. And we're not supposed to fucking care about that, but the idea is that I feel like I'm respected as an artist, and that's important to me. And so I'm starting a podcast called the Punk Rock Trash Podcast, that's coming soon. I have some big guests lined up early on, and so I had a lot of people that stepped up, that believe in what I'm doing, and they know what I'm doing. Like, I've got a lady named Christina up in Northern California who's making my stickers just for the cost of the materials, and she's the one that teaches people how to do graphic design. She's a professor. And so I have a lot of people like that. I'm talking to uh, Howard Stern strategist from the early 90s. There's just been a lot of people like that have stepped forward and been like, do you need my help? And people that are in bigger bands have come to me and said things like, I want to be on your podcast. I think me being on your podcast would help you. And it's like, people that shouldn't want to fucking talk to my dumb ass,
It's the same with us, dude. Like,
it's like every time.
We got this Outlaw Mud Show podcast going on, and we've had people like step up, like, we're probably going to get to interview the new bass player from ZZ Top, because he's a mark too. This guy that works for Guns N' Roses he did like the stories behind like all the huge Guns N' Roses bands back in the 90s, and I'm just like,
wow.
If you would have told me when I was like 11 years old listening to these bands, like, we would have people just like, oh, we'll help you out like any way we can. Like
yeah. that is rad. That's really cool.
So let's go to the next question. Any current wrestlers that you're huge fan of?
Yeah, so I like this wrestler from TNA Wrestling named Jody Threat.
Yeah.
Um, she's good. She's promising. She kind of has like a little bit of an MMA style because she has an MMA background.
Yeah.
I like some of that stuff in wrestling, not all the time, but with some people. She also reps like the punk rock thing. You know, she wears Fred Perry's and shit like that. Her symbol looks like a cross between, I think, like the Agnostic Front logo and the Minor Threat logo. And of course, I like all the fucking like punk rock wrestlers. I know it's like a new thing, but like I like CM Punk a lot. I'm a bit huge fan. Darby Allin.
Darby Allin, yeah.
Yeah, Darby Allin's great. And just a lot of Brody King,
Brody, yeah, 100%.
But as far as like other wrestlers, I think that gosh, Sami Zayn, right? That's another one. But Seth Rollins is a huge one, right? I think Seth Rollins is extremely talented. He's the best thing since the fucking Macho Man, in my opinion, right? And I think he's a great fucking heel, and he has a lot of personality. He knows how to dress. People are going to remember him. They're going to be watching his matches in 30 years' time because the way he fucking presents himself, the way he looks. He can talk, he can wrestle, he can fucking do it all. There's very few guys that are as good as the people that we liked when we were kids that could do it all, right? Like the guys that could talk, wrestle, and had fucking charisma, right? And, Seth Rollins is one of them, CM Punk is one of them. And I think that like those two guys are like the total package.
What do you think most punk rock thing a wrestler has ever done?
Well, I mean, anytime anybody ever made Hogan bleed,
Oh,
no, see when CM Punk's pipe bomb promo is not cliche to me. Vince McMahon was a fucking asshole, and I think that there was a good level of that wasn't a work. And I think that they were really nervous with him on the mic. I think some of it was planned. And I think that he went a little further because he was angry. And I think that's great that anybody would fucking front off Vince McMahon when they know their entire future and all their dreams are at stake.
Yeah.
And they don't give a fuck. They're going to do, that's the integrity. That's doing the right thing, right?
Exactly.
And also just like it's punk rock, I think, to be willing to fucking burn the house down,
yes,
fucking disrespect you, and that was or if they do the wrong thing. But I just thought that was a moment that as cliche as it is, fucking wonderful. What about you guys?
I mean, Brody in the fuck eye shirt, dude.
Yes.
Like, he came out in that, I was like,
what was that?
Brody King in the fuck ice shirt.
In the fuck ice shirt, yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
But I mean, pipe bomb, that was one of the things that like first kind of started getting me back into wrestling. I was just like, oh man, so you can just go talk shit on a billionaire? That's fucking rad. You might get fired the next day before your wedding, but
they did that on purpose. They fired him the day before his wedding, huh?
Yeah.
Motherfuckers.
Exactly.
You can't tell me business isn't personal.
Right?
Always is.
So if you were a booking agent and you could just make your dream main event, who would you have, and would there be like crazy stipulations?
No. So, what would be my dream match? I think my dream match would probably be it's probably happened. I'm sure it's happened many times. Like Dusty Rhodes, and gosh, no, I'm gonna fucking back off of that. Like my current dream match, or something like
just any. It could be even
living or dead,
yeah.
wrestler. Just your dream match, like two people that you would 100% love to see square off.
Well, like, I think about it in terms of like live. I would want to see these people live, like in person, and that would be like the Macho Man and Dusty Rhodes, I think.
Ooh.
Oh
yeah, those are two big ones. Piper is my all-time favorite wrestler, though.
my too, man.
yeah. But I think that like Dusty Rhodes and the Macho Man, if I could, like, I think seeing something like that in person would be really, really special. I'm sure that match has happened many times. I think I've seen it. So, yeah.
Well, but you weren't there live, so.
But I think that's actually a really good distinction. Between seeing a match live and seeing it, on TV. Like, it's a whole different experience. And you're in the moment. You're with a bunch of other people. Anything could happen.
It's kind of like going to a punk rock show after just listening to punk rock albums, and then you go to your first show and you're like, "Oh man!" like,
yeah, and the people smell just as bad too.
Absolutely.
Events.
that is facts, sir. Facts.
So, going into the punk rock aspect, if you could pick a dream show with 3 bands, that's all you get. You get 2 openers and 1 headliner. It doesn't even have to be punk, just bands in general.
Your dream show. How about that?
Right. Do they all have to be punk?
Hell no.
No.
No, just
okay.
your dream show. Who's headlining and who are your openers?
Okay. A band called Guitar Wolf from Japan.
Fuck yes, dude.
A group from Memphis called the Oblivions, and the Monkees would headline.
Ooh, and why? Why would the Monkees headline in that one? I'm curious.
The Monkees are my all-time favorite band.
Okay.
So like, I'm a freak when it comes for the Monkees, and like 60s pop. I'm fucking obsessed with 60s pop music. It never went away,
It just molded and shaped a little bit, but yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, I just like that's why I think of punk rock as being an extension of like early like rock and roll music and stuff like that, and even though like the Monkees were put together by like,
but they also had Jimi Hendrix opening for them, and then they got to make fucking Head. That movie is so weird.
Head is a great. Jack Nicholson wrote that movie.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful movie.
Cool. That's awesome, man. That's one of all those bands. Have you ever seen Wild Zero?
I have, yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, don't try to play the drinking game because you're going to end up at the hospital. I can speak from experience.
Yeah, the drinking game was like anytime you see fire in the movie,
or rock and roll.
Anybody that yells rock and roll, like, or just all kinds of shit, right? Like,
dude,
you have to drink.
Like, one of the fucking most awesome things about that movie is like they were like standing up for trans rights, like. In the early 2000s, it's just like these crazy Japanese, like.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. So he's conflicted in the movie. The main character is conflicted about finding out that his girlfriend is trans.
Yeah.
And he has a visceral reaction. He freaks out. He runs away, and he sees like the singer of Guitar Wolf has supernatural abilities in this movie. And so he comes and speaks to him to let him know, like sort of a Jedi type thing, let him know that like, no, like love is love. And you need to be like, and there's nothing fucking rock and roll about you fucking, running away from this broad. And you need to like go back over there and fucking handle business,
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, fuck. And he like thinks of it, he's like, all right, you're right, And
takes his little motorcycle back.
Yeah, and he goes and fucking has a trans girlfriend because the singer of Guitar Wolf told him, like you need to be okay with that, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's a fun movie, it's got zombies, aliens, everything in it.
Lots of violence, amphetamines.
Great music. Yeah, highly recommended.
I'm watching it every time. She hasn't seen it yet. So.
Yes, I have not. I'm a little behind in all the wrestling lore and all that jazz. But you did mention that you have been kind of watching wrestling for a very, very long time. Do you, maybe excluding They Live, because you said Roddy Piper's your favorite. Do you have a like favorite wrestling movie or a kind of one that you were like, well, that was actually better than I thought?
I think The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke is really good. Mickey Rourke's one of my favorite actors anyway, and I think that's an excellent movie. I think that's the best wrestling movie there was. You know, I liked No Holds Barred when I was a kid. It's pretty unwatchable. It's pretty bad. But I just liked fucking like looking at Hulk Hogan or whatever, and and you know, because you're a little kid and you're obsessed with Hulk Hogan, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that probably The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke is the best. What do you all think?
I mean, as far as like wrestling oriented movies, yeah, that's probably my favorite. But I mean, you know, then you have stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy with Batista, like wrestlers who have transitioned and don't suck like Hulk Hogan. So,
yeah.
I mean, I really love this movie called Be Cool with The Rock because he plays like a gay hitman in it, but he's trying to be a country music singer.
Yeah, he was. You know, The Rock was in a really good movie. It was Michael Bay's only good movie, and it's called. And it's The Rock's only good movie too. I think it's called Pain and Gain.
Oh, and is that the one with Marky Mark?
Yeah, and it's surprisingly excellent. They play bodybuilders that are like, I think they're committing crimes so that they can like afford steroids or something, basically. And they're just full on criminals. And it really makes fun of bodybuilders and like that whole like lifestyle and stuff. That's a good movie. It has no reason to be good, but it's good.
But it is.
What about you? What's your favorite
as far as that's a big question and on the spot, I don't know. I personally am gonna say They Live just because I haven't seen a ton. I haven't seen a ton of just like wrestling movies. And as far as like wrestlers who have transitioned into film, I don't know. Right now I'm kind of on Cena in general with Peacemaker. We saw him do that, the lottery, I think it's what it was called. Was it the lottery? Or the jackpot? Jackpot. I thought that was really good, but yeah, as far as like just wrestling movies, I don't know if I have a favorite just yet. I really need to get caught up on wrestling.
I literally just started getting into wrestling
just a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So I have.
So yeah, I mean,
but she's so smart.
I didn't watch it, from the time I was like 10 until 5 years ago, and so like there was, I didn't care about it or anything, and when it was as an adult, like kind of weird that I had gotten back into it almost, and I'd like to change my answer though.
Okay,
my
that's
answer
fine. No, change your way.
Is I didn't know, like I thought it had to be about wrestling, but if it can just have a wrestler in it, Hell Comes to Frogtown with Roddy Piper is my favorite wrestling movie.
I love that movie so much. It's so
good. It's so good. I saw it when I was a little kid, and I couldn't fucking believe it. It's just like boobies and frogs, like frog people,
when his face is all up. Blow it up. That's definitely a favorite.
Well, since we're kind of on this a little bit, but what was the first move that you attempted on a friend or a sibling or a family member or whatever that you saw in some match?
Yeah. So the moves were attempted on me.
Just kidding.
And because my brother was a pro wrestling fan too when we were kids.
Dope.
And so I was into, I did some like plays and things like that when I was a kid, and so I had like tights, I don't know what you call them, but they were like tights, right? I played like a road runner one year. They were like orange. They were more like orange pantyhose. And I used to fight. I used to fucking wear those like I was a wrestler, and I would fight my brother.
Hell yeah.
And it was just my job to get my fucking ass kicked, right? And like just thrown, and like we would like tie ropes and or a whole bunch of fucking Nintendo controllers around the bed or something, like link them together, and just so it like looked cooler, but you couldn't fucking hit them or bust apart or what. But anyway, so yeah, we would just do a lot of that. My brother would just beat the shit out of me, do fucking figure fours on me and stuff.
Oh no!
And, he's like, "You want me to teach you how to do the figure four right now, Ryan?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "All right, hold still," and then just proceed to fucking whoop my ass. But it was a lot of fun. Like I liked being a little kid and fucking being into wrestling and shit like that, and
Yeah, like I didn't grow up with anybody who watched wrestling. My youngest uncle was only about 8 years older than I was, and he stopped watching it at about 11, 12, because my dad and my uncle took him to a wrestling match, and he was like, "This is all fake," and decided that he didn't want to watch it anymore. But when I got back into it, I was just blown away by like the artistry of it all, the athleticism, the storytelling that happened, the way that people kind of continued to do some really cool promos and mic skills and stuff, and I was like, this is actually fucking rad.
Yeah.
I don't think that I mean, obviously, how could you not know, John Cena or The Rock or, any of these big names in the 90s, even if you didn't watch wrestling, so I was aware of those things, but I don't think that I would have liked wrestling or appreciated it as much if I started then than when I did a couple of years ago. Because it's just, I'm blown away.
Let me ask you a question. So, like, what's some of the stuff that you don't like?
As far as wrestling goes?
Current wrestling, yeah.
Current wrestling, probably still that kind of lingering reliance on, tits and ass in terms of female wrestling. Because, like, for example, Toni Storm's character, the amount of like effort and commitment that she has, that the writers have, and everything like that is phenomenal. And I wish that they would take that level of commitment and effort and put it into women's wrestling in general. Because I think that there are a lot of talented women out there who don't necessarily get time because of, whatever reason, but that for me is one of the things. And I think also with some male wrestlers' reliance on that as well, just kind of being lazy about it instead of actually being entertaining and pushing a story forward and, getting the plot to where it needs to be and, everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree with her. It's like, yeah, I mean, Toni is one of my favorite wrestlers, and I love how they committed to this whole bit for years. And it's been up and down. It's like, oh no, I'm an old Toni Storm. Oh, it's so great to meet you and everything. It's like, and then she's like, ha 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 ha. It was timeless Toni Storm all along. But I love Danhausen. He's like one of my favorite wrestlers. I like, and he's also a hardcore kid. So the thing that sold me for him is I saw a picture of him with the converged Jane Doe skull painted on his face. I was just like, okay, I instantly love this dude, and I started watching videos of him, like him doing the Pee-wee dance, and then
I think AEW has really like kind of let him down and dropped the ball on him because he, before he went to AEW as an independent wrestler, he was the top seller a lot of weeks for pro wrestling tees, and he wasn't in either of the two major companies. And AEW was, I think they still do, sell all their shirts exclusively through Pro Wrestling Tees. And so Danhausen didn't even work for the second biggest wrestling company and was outselling all their wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why Tony wanted Danhausen. But when he got Danhausen, he didn't know what to do with him. And he just like collected a fucking toy so that WWE couldn't have him or somebody else couldn't do something with him. And I think that was, you know, kind of it's just a chicken shit rich guy move.
Yeah.
And I don't like how Danhausen has been wasted. Like this is his time to work.
Yes.
You know, with the age that he is and stuff, and he's not getting any younger. And they just, I don't even know if I stopped watching AEW. Is he wrestling at all?
He's not.
He's doing indie shows and stuff. He just had a kid. Like,
yeah, but he's got a contract with AEW, right?
Yes,
yeah.
So
I don't think they've let him go.
He's been injured, and so from what I last heard, Tony's keeping him to maybe hopefully do something. I mean, he came back like, what was it, two Halloweens ago?
After this whole thing, and they just shit the bed with that. It was like,
like they
guys, like
like they 100% dropped the ball with him. I agree with you because he has such a unique story and a unique character that I think it would really go well with what AEW's has right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish that
they don't know what they're fucking doing, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
And then when somebody comes in that knows what the fuck they're doing, they fire them.
Yes.
Like because everybody gets jealous and sad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the AEW line. And like if somebody comes in and fucking shines and it pisses somebody of Tony's off that he, got in his like the Young Bucks or something, that person's fucking, up shit alley, right?
Yeah.
When I was making my wrestling content, I was getting approached by like AEW wrestlers.
Yeah.
And I was getting some of the stuff backstage. Like and it's really bad. I mean, it's to the point of where like you come in and you get some fucking ratings. Everybody hates you and is trying to get you fucking thrown off TV.
Yeah.
And wrestling's like that anyway. But AEW is just they don't know how to deal with people like that. And I don't respect what they've done with Danhausen. And I, as a wrestling fan, it became too much because I saw AEW getting better and just firing on all cylinders. I think maybe like in 2022, it looked like they could maybe beat WWE in some ratings at some point if they just keep climbing and getting better. And it just never happened. And I had to stop watching after a certain point. Maybe around like 2023, I stopped watching, but I'll watch the occasional AEW show.
Yeah.
I like the wrestlers. I don't like what Tony Khan does with them. Or like what the booking does with them. Yeah. I think it's just bad. And another problem I have with AEW is, okay, so he's a rich guy that this is a company that should have failed already.
Yeah.
But he has so much fucking money that they can lose money every year. His dad has like $15 billion or something like that. And so they can lose money every single year and he can just keep buying wrestlers and spending money and getting TV deals that don't fucking pay him and doing all this shit. And what should happen is this wrestling company should die because if that happens, if something like that happened, there is a market for wrestling and another wrestling company that's not going to fucking shit the bed can step in and do something, right? Because Tony's proven he can't do anything, but his business won't fail because his pockets are so fucking deep.
Yeah.
I think I couldn't watch that shit. It's a rich guy fucking playing with toys at this point.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, I mean, I really I hoped when Hunter took over for Vince that like WWE was gonna just be awesome. Since he's one of the boys, and then I was just like, it was good for like 2 weeks, and then I'm just I think I'm just gonna go back and watch AEW in Japan because this is
there's too much. There's too much WWE. I don't want to watch fucking 15 pay-per-views a year.
Yeah, no.
And I don't want to have to watch fucking SmackDown and Raw and fucking all this shit. I want to watch wrestling one fucking night a week.
Yeah.
And like with AEW, the positive thing is that you can just watch fucking Dynamite and you're good.
Yeah.
And you don't have to know anything else that's going on or anything like that. And because there's no fucking storylines anyway. but like WWE, it's a trap. It's like there's too much fucking going on, and it's so fucking convoluted. If I miss one episode, I don't know what the fuck, Punk said to Seth, or why they're about to punch each other's wives or whatever.
Yeah.
I will say AJ Lee coming back. That's cool because I always really liked her. And she's a total nerd, so
yeah.
Yeah, there's just like there's this like oversaturation with WWE, and I guess something that I like about AEW is that there's that underdogness to it, where it's kind of the only major thing going up against WWE, and I would hope that both of them would get better to compete with each other. I guess I don't know, that competition making somebody better in a way. I guess that convoluted thinking that I have, but.
No matter what Tony Khan says, AEW has never competed with WWE.
No.
They've never made money. It's a fucking money losing business. He's just paying these people money, and there's fans and stuff like that. But a fourth of the people are watching. It's hardly anybody's going to the shows. They're in basketball gymnasiums at this point, and I rooted for AEW. Like I for years I was on the. I'm not trying to yuck your yum here.
Oh
like,
no!
Because, hey man, we're open to all opinions.
I've
got the fucking toys, right? Like I was invested in this shit. I got Miro on my fucking wall over. I got everybody. I even got fucking Riho. Okay, so
hey, she's back.
Yeah, she just came back.
So, like it became. It was like I'm just waiting for this to get good. It's like being in a bad relationship and waiting for somebody to get sober or like stop hitting you or something. It was just. It was enough was a fucking enough.
Yeah. I mean that's completely fair. That's completely fair. I think that if the fans, quote unquote fans who don't see anything wrong with either company or don't have anything bad to say, I think those aren't actual fans. I think the fans are the ones who are going out there and criticizing and being like, this is shit right now. Can we change this? Can we do something about that? But
wrestling is in my opinion better in 2025 than it has been for the last 5 years at least. I think that there was a period where AEW was just kicking ass, and I felt like they were on the precipice of something, but I was wrong.
Yeah.
So,
That's okay.
So final question. I'm pretty sure I already know the answer to this, but if you were a wrestler, who would be your dream opponent?
At their prime, whomever, living, dead, just at their prime wrestler, who would you like to go against?
So, fuck. If I was a wrestler, here's the problem, right? I love Piper, but I wouldn't wrestle Piper because I would be a fucking heel, okay?
Yeah.
And it would have to be Dusty Rhodes. It would have to be Dusty Rhodes. I would make, Dusty Rhodes bleed. I would make the fucking crowd hate me, and I would thrive on it.
Yeah.
And, I know how to do that. I know,
Yeah.
So, that's the thing. That's the person that I would wrestle is Dusty Rhodes.
That's awesome. I think that's a really, really good thing.
Yeah. That would hurt him.
Absolutely.
Get him with an elbow drop with a whole bunch of thumbtacks in it. And it was so great talking to you. And
hey, you too, buddy. Both of you. Yeah.
Me and you have both been through similar paths in life, and it's cool getting to talk to somebody who's
Hey, so you all are in Northern California now, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, dude. Like I like Arkansas, but I'm ready to go back. Like I'm from California. Like
Yeah.
you couldn't see yourself leaving California, probably.
I mean, we have floated the idea of leaving and trying to find a good place that isn't too cold all winter, or weed's legal and all that jazz. But I mean, I've only
that's
lived
the fucking kicker right there.
exactly.
Weed's legal. That's hard to find.
Yes,
Missouri,
we pulled up a map. We were like, holy shit, But
in Missouri, it's legal.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's cheap.
Is it not legal there?
No, and in fact, like the deltas are now illegal too. Sarah Huckabee fucking Sanders, Quasimodo fucking made them.
They did the same shit in Alabama. The KIV.
Fucking losers.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. It's like I'm trying to fucking smoke weed and fucking have a good time. I'm not trying to fucking. If I live in Arkansas, you better let me fucking smoke a joint.
There ain't nothing else to do. Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, the coolest thing that happened when I lived there is I met the guys at the drive-in the day I was buying Nine Inch Nails The Fragile at record store across the street from I worked at a Chick-fil-A and a Barnes & Noble. Went to I think it was the Springdale Mall or Fayetteville Mall. I can't remember.
It was Fayetteville, yeah.
So I'm like going to buy Nine Inch Nails because it was like the day it came out. I see these two tall ass skinny motherfuckers with afros, and I was just like, "What's up with these dudes?" Like, and they're like handing out flyers, and it's them and Murder City Devils, and I'm just I was like, I don't know who either of these bands are, but they have the coolest band names ever. And Murder City Devil and At the Drive-In just melted my face. I was like,
yeah,
19 years old. Like,
yeah, Murder City Devils are one of my favorite bands.
Same here. Jody's my homeboy.
Yeah, the third record is really special. I like the third one. I think it's called like In Name and Blood or something like that. Yeah,
so
that's
good.
a fun. The organ on it and stuff, and
Midnight Service at the Muter Museum is one of the greatest songs ever.
Yeah, they take their time on that album. It's like not a bunch of fast songs or anything, but it's like still fucking crazy and like intense, and like got a fucking like the organ sounds great on that record.
All right, man. Well, it's good talking to you. We hope you have a great rest of your night.
Have a good one.